Welcome, new Site-37 personnel. Come on in, get settled. I am Dr. Damian Wolf, and I am absolutely thrilled to be your guide for today's official training explainer. Now, as a senior researcher here with over a decade and a half of experience under my belt, I've interviewed my fair share of anomalies. I've seen a lot. But today we're looking at one of the most fascinating, chaotic, and frankly tragic safe-class anomalies in the entire Foundation registry. I'm talking about SCP-092. My goal today, tapping into my background in psychology and metaphysics, is to equip you with the knowledge to not just survive this anomaly, but to truly understand what makes it tick. We're going to explore this wild intersection of anomalous physics, biological transfiguration, and the deeply fractured human mind that somehow put it all together. So grab your notepads, get focused, and let's jump right in.
Okay, so here's our agenda for the briefing. We're covering containment and safe analysis, the obsession with 5, biological versus metaphysical effects, the creator's tragic surrender, and finally, psychological breakdown and motives. Let's get to it. 3,125. That, folks, is the sheer scale of SCP-092. We are not talking about a single cursed object sitting in a box here. SCP-092 is a massive collection of exactly 3,125 distinct audio compact discs. Every single one of them is labeled the absolute best of the fifth dimension. And yes, that includes exactly 5 exclamation marks, naturally. But here's the kicker. Every single one of those 3,125 discs triggers a completely different anomalous effect when played. Section 1. Containment and Safe Analysis.
Because of that sheer volume, our containment protocols here have to be incredibly strict. Each disk is kept in a standard CD jewel case in an inanimate object locker right here at Site-37, and we individually number every single one with a permanent marker. Now, you might be wondering, why the extreme caution for a bunch of CDs? Well, testing must be conducted in completely soundproof rooms, and you may only ever examine one instance at a time. Furthermore, and I cannot stress this enough, under no circumstances are you to listen to these disks. Listening access is restricted strictly to D-Class personnel. A deviation from these protocols could result in a highly unpredictable, catastrophic anomalous exposure for literally everyone in hearing range.
But as researchers, we still need to actually study them, right? And this brilliantly illustrates our primary workaround. You can safely analyze an instance without triggering its effects. All you do is secure a standard personal computer with a regular CD drive, insert the SCP-92 instance directly into the PC drive, and simply access the internal digital files safely without triggering the audio track. If you do this, the files themselves just contain thousands of hours of live performances, media interviews, and personal conversations all pertaining to the American singing group, The Fifth Dimension. It's a nice little technical loophole that allows us to bypass the anomaly's auditory compulsion entirely.
And trust me, you definitely want to bypass that compulsion, because if you actually play the disc in a standard CD player, a 74-minute anomalous phenomenon begins, which not coincidentally is the exact maximum duration of a standard audio CD. During this time, listeners absolutely cannot leave the hearing range, and the player cannot be shut off. It's locked in. But here's the truly absurd part. When the 74 minutes are up, every surviving listener is forced to speak in perfect synchronized vocalization, saying exactly this: "Wow, that was real cool." And I mean everyone. The anomaly forces this vocalization from non-anglophones, pre-verbal infants, paralyzed victims, even individuals physically incapable of speech due to severe throat or mouth damage. It doesn't matter, they will say it.
Section 2. The Obsession with 5.
So, what actually connects all 3,125 disks? Well, every single anomalous property is conceptually linked to the number 5, spatial dimensions, or the members of the band, the fifth dimension. It is, essentially, an anomaly built entirely on facile wordplay and puns. If it has to do with fiveness, the creator manipulated reality to make it happen. It's a really fascinating look into a highly capable, yet conceptually limited, anomalous mind.
Section 3. Biological versus metaphysical effects. Now, the anomaly's capabilities are vast and, honestly, chaotic. On one hand, we see deeply visceral biological mutations. We're talking instances that cause trigeminal neuralgia, which is unbearable pain in the fifth cranial nerve. Others cause the human body to literally exude pentagonal crystals, instantly regress the subject's age to exactly 5 years, months, or days, or spontaneously grow extra-functional eyes just to reach a total of 5. But then, on the other hand, the effects become terrifyingly metaphysical. Listeners are teleported to Himalaya, which is Jupiter's fifth moon. Some are converted into flat two-dimensional forms. One disc even topologically swaps a listener's height with their waist circumference. It literally exchanges their dimension of height for their dimension of width. It's wild. Others even transport listeners inside films that just happen to have the word dimension in the title.
But the absolute crucial takeaway here is that you must never, ever underestimate these discs based on a perceived pattern. A relatively benign, if incredibly grotesque, alteration, like spontaneously growing 3 extra functional eyes, sits right next to utterly fatal chemical transfigurations in the exact same locker. For instance, listening to another disc causes the listener's body to exude pentagonal nodules of elemental cesium. Now, cesium is chemical element number 55. Do you see the pattern? What seems like a simple, childish pun can instantly become a highly lethal containment breach.
And let's be clear, the mortality rates for these fatal instances are incredibly stark. For the cesium exudation we just mentioned, listeners are killed by the resulting chemical burns within exactly 8 minutes. Another instance, which causes spontaneous 5-month pregnancies, results in massive, fatal internal hemorrhaging in male D-class subjects within 10 minutes. And if you're teleported to Jupiter's 5th moon, well, you succumb to the combined effects of hypothermia, hypoxia, and radiation poisoning within 180 minutes. This data right here on the screen is exactly why D-class testing is mandatory.
Then we have instances that blatantly ignore standard biological mortality altogether. I have to admit, a bit of a morbid fascination with these ones. We call them the pentasection anomalies. Depending on which specific disc is played, listeners' bodies are instantly sliced into 5 disconnected segments. This can be radially, laterally, longitudinally, or axially. But the truly reality-breaking part? All 5 disconnected segments remain entirely alive and fully mobile for the duration of the effect. It is just a staggering manipulation of human biology.
Yet, sitting right next to godlike reality bending and gruesome body horror in that same locker, we have discs that simply force the victim to uncontrollably sneeze, belch, hiccup, or cough exactly 5 times per minute for 74 minutes. It's almost comical. It highlights this massive dichotomy in the anomaly. You have this astounding, reality-warping power, and it's being utilized for what are essentially annoying parlor tricks.
Section 4. The Creator's Tragic Surrender.
So, how did we get this thing? The May 5th acquisition event. Yes, you guessed it, the 5th day of the 5th month was shockingly anticlimactic. An unidentified man, who we classified as SCP-092B, literally walked right up to the front gates of Site-19 carrying 2 heavy suitcases. There was no epic raid, no massive containment struggle. He immediately confessed to the guards, repeatedly declaring himself a failure. He just surrendered the CDs without a fight, practically begging to be taken into Foundation custody, and was subsequently transferred here to Site-37 for formal questioning.
His initial encounter with the guards really set a tragic tone for the whole situation. He told them, and I quote, "I'm a stupid, boring, nickel-turny hack who thinks that money and cheap puns can take the place of talent and inspiration." The profound irony here is just staggering. We're talking about a man capable of manipulating time, space, and human biology on an absolute whim, yet he viewed his own work as completely tasteless, dull, and incompetent. He even stated that the only reason he wasn't an art criminal was because nothing he ever made was even close to being considered art.
During his interrogation, his crippling imposter syndrome became even more painfully apparent. He described his creations as superficial Potemkin village crap, totally lacking any deeper artistic meaning or genuine inspiration. He felt his work was just a cheap imitation, pumping garbage into the river of human achievement. His own intense insecurities completely blinded him to the terrifying, physics-breaking magnitude of what he had actually managed to build.
Section 5. Psychological Breakdown and Motives. During interrogation session number 2, we basically witnessed the exact moment his fragile psyche snapped. He yelled out, "I'm a useless hack with no fucking imagination. I've wasted and ruined miracles." He fully realized that he possessed incredible anomalous resources, what he called miracles, but he fundamentally lacked the imagination to do anything meaningful with them. He was practically drowning in the guilt of squandering raw power that, in his own words, better people could have done so much more with.
When we group these psychological red flags together as researchers, a really tragic picture emerges. His obsession with kindergarten-level paranomasia, the puns based on the number 5 and dimensions, was more than likely a crutch. It provided a rigid, predictable framework for a mind that entirely lacked true creative direction. This was heavily compounded by his intense feelings of artistic worthlessness and this acute awareness of squandering incredible raw anomalous materials. All of this drove his extreme self-deprecation and his actual desire for Foundation containment, and ultimately, it led to a total psychological disconnect from his own physical body.
Which brings us to his final, deeply chilling words recorded during the interrogation. He looked down and said, "These aren't my arms." Immediately after uttering this terrifying disassociation, SCP-092B seized his own head with both hands and inexplicably managed to rip it completely off his own neck, killing himself instantly. He demonstrated a horrifying anomalous strength right at the end, turning his profound self-hatred into a visceral, fatal reality.
And that is exactly where I am going to leave you today. Think about it. If a creator capable of profound metaphysical manipulation, someone who can literally bend space, time, and flesh, views themselves as nothing more than an uninspired failure, what does that say about the true psychological burden of anomalous artistry? Keep this briefing in mind when you're out there on the floor. Respect the containment protocols, respect the highly unpredictable nature of these disks, and never, ever underestimate the dangerous intersection of raw anomalous power and deep human insecurity. Class dismissed.